Hey guys, how we doing and how we feeling today? Okay, so we're gonna talk about the 2022 Billboard Music Awards. Firstly, I'm gonna go over the 12 predictions that I made last time and also talk about some of the other winners that we had. Okay, so within the Artist Awards, for top artists, I predicted that Olivia Rodrigo would win, but Drake ended up winning. And in retrospect, when he released Certified Lover Boy, I think it was back in September, I remember perfectly that after the album had its first full tracking week, that the next Hot 100 Top 10 chart, literally 9 out of those 10 songs were all from Certified Lover Boy. And the other song, I think it was Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber. And when I saw that, I obviously was like, first of all, this is historic. And second, I was like, how did Drake even pull this off? I mean, I had never seen something like that on the top 10 of the Hot 100. But then I thought about it and I was like, okay, I mean, it's Drake. He's a massive hit maker. He's really consistent. So yeah, I mean, that does make sense for him to win top artist. Then for top new artist, I predicted that Olivia would win, and she did win. And as with my Grammys predictions, this was really a no-brainer for me because if you look at the 5 finalists we had for this category being Giveon, Masked Wolf, Olivia Rodrigo, Pushy C, and The Kid Laroi, Olivia was by far the most successful new artist out of these 5. The only one I could see maybe standing a chance at winning was The Kid Laroi, but I mean, he couldn't really compete with Olivia's masterful Year One. So yeah. Then for top male artists, I predicted that Ed Sheeran would win, but Drake took this one. Then for top female artist, I predicted that Olivia would win, and she did. This win felt greater because of the fact that I was a little surprised that she won, because this prediction was the most fun I had with to make, but also the toughest prediction for me to make without a doubt, because the 5 finalists being Adele, Doja Cat, Dua Lipa, Olivia Rodrigo, and Taylor Swift, these are all artists that I love, but if I'm talking about it from an objective standpoint, these are also artists that all of them had a successful year. But I thought about it and I was like, okay, Olivia is the only debut artist out of these 5. So, I mean, and as I've been saying right now, with the masterful debut that she had and how she's still going strong to this day, it really does make sense for her to win this one. And then with top Billboard Global 200 artists, one of the 5 new categories that the BBMAs added this year, I predicted that Olivia Rodrigo would win, and she did. Then for top Billboard Global excluding the United States artists, another new category, I predicted that Olivia Rodrigo would win, but Ed Sheeran took this one. And well, what can I say? I mean, ever since Ed Sheeran kickstarted this whole equals era back in summer of 2021 with Bad Habits, and the massive hit that it went on to be, and then followed up by Shivers months later, that also became a top 10 hit. Then the Buzz singles and the release of the album, I think it was in November. So I mean, all that combined really made this a really successful comeback for Ed. So yeah, it's really makes sense for him to win this one. Okay, and 2 categories that I want to mention that I didn't predict, but I like the winners of. The first one being top female rap artist, this being Megan Thee Stallion who won. And this is an artist that I've grown to love ever since 2020 when I listened to Savage. I remember that the pandemic had just started and I came across that song that was really viral at that time. And I really loved it. I was like, this is such a bop. And I was like, I had to check more of Megan's stuff. So I did, and I listened to Sugar, the EP that song is from, and enjoyed several of those tracks as well. And then, the Savage remix with Beyonce, Girls in the Hood. So literally with each song that I listened to from her and that I loved, I was more invested in her. So I was keeping up with the releases and everything leading up to the release of Good News, her 2020 album, and all the collabs that she's had, like with Maroon 5, Better Mistakes, and SG with DJ Snake, Sweetest Pie with Dua Lipa. I mean, it's all lining up. So yeah, really happy that Megan won. And Doja Cat won for R&B artist. And for me, that's really impressive because that really shows how versatile she is, with her delving into pop, but also R&B and rap. So yeah. Okay. For the album awards, I predicted that for top Billboard 200 album, that Sour would win. And it did win, and I'm really happy about that because this is an album that, as I've already said, holds a very special place in my heart. Today is the 23rd of May, and 2 days ago was actually the first year anniversary of Sour. So I reminisced a little about, the album release and whatnot. And looking back on it, and as I also already said on the podcast before, this is an album that I didn't connect to it at such a deep level as I have now on my first listen. So I don't know why I was expecting more songs like Good For You on that album. We did get that with Brutal, but really all the other songs were ballads. And even though I love a good ballad, I don't know why I was expecting that other vision for the album. It being more varied sonic-wise. But with time, I learned to appreciate the album for what it was, what it stood for, and then I realized that the connection that I made later on was actually there from the start, but I didn't realize it until afterwards because I realized that what I was going through at that time in my life, what was going through my mind, and things of that sort, compared to what Olivia was talking about on the album, what she got to say, her experiences, and how some of her experiences lined up with mine. So, yeah, I mean, all that, and there are more reasons why Sour went on to be my top 2021 album. So yeah, I'm really happy that Sour is getting more love. And also, I didn't predict this category, this being top R&B album. Planet Her by Doja Cat won. So I mean, this album is also, as I've said before, one of my top 2021 albums. I don't particularly like all the songs, but most of them I do. And, the thing is that as I'm not very big on rap and R&B, well, I'm a little bigger on R&B than rap, but obviously not as big as I'm with pop. So I didn't want to make predictions for those genres, but I do appreciate that music a lot as well. So yeah, I'm really happy that Doja won for Planet Her. Okay, so moving on to Song Awards. For Top Hot 100 Song, I predicted that Levitating would win, but Stay won. And then for Top Collaboration, I predicted that Kiss Me More by Doja Cat featuring SZA would win, but again, Stay won. Then for Top Billboard Global 200 Song, another new category, I predicted that Levitating would win, but Stay won. And then for Top Billboard Global excluding the United States Song, another new category, I predicted that Save Your Tears remix by The Weeknd and Ariana Grande would win, but you guessed it, Stay won as well. Okay, so literally Stay won 4 categories of the Song Awards. Really impressive. And I mean, that song, ever since it dropped, has really been a big phenomenon. I think it went on to become a #1 hit, if I'm not mistaken. And what I do know for sure is that it has stayed on the top 10 for multiple weeks on end. I think it's still on the top 10, which is really impressive because I think we're almost at the first year anniversary of the song, I think. So yeah, it's really impressive. Okay. And then for Top Viral Song, the last of the new categories, I predicted that Kiss Me More would win, and it did win. And even though it's not the equivalent of Top Collaboration at the Grammys, which it did win there, now that I think about it, this category is really important, and it will only get more important with each year. So I'm really confident that this new category is here to stay, because we all know that TikTok is getting bigger by the day. I mean, there was a time that I wasn't really convinced of joining the app, and then I did, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. But I mean, talking about it in a broader perspective, I mean, TikTok is getting bigger, not only within pop culture, but also for the music industry. I mean, look at how hits are made nowadays. I mean, talking about the viral part of it, we're having songs such as Cool for the Summer by Demi Lovato, a 2015 song that until this year gained a lot of traction on TikTok, and a new sped up remix of the song came out, and I loved it because of all that. And also Katy Perry with Heartless in Hawaii. Back in 2019, she released that song. Wasn't a hit. It was a fan favorite, but not a hit. And I think it was last year that it gained traction on TikTok. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing more and more examples of that. And also in this case, with new songs, they can become instantly viral on TikTok, with challenges and whatnot. So yeah. Okay. And I also want to talk about this year's Icon Award recipient being Mary J. Blige. This is an artist that I discovered back in 2013 or 2014, I think it was, when Sam Smith released the remix of Stay With Me with Mary J. Blige. So ever since then, I went on to listen more of Mary's music. And then in 2015, I listened to a song of hers that is called My Loving from an EP that she put out called The London Sessions. And I instantly loved that song because it was really upbeat, really like clubby, like the type of music that I like to listen to the most. And then it was in 2017 that I It was the first time that I listened to a full album of hers from start to finish. It being the one that she released that year. I think it's called Strength of a Woman. And, she has a song on there, which is my favorite, that is called Glow Up with DJ Khaled and Missy Elliott. And ever since then, I went back and listened to a bunch of her older music. Hits like Family Affair and Without You and I Can Love You with, I think it's with Lil Kim. So yeah, she's known for being an R&B legend, an R&B living legend at that. So, and also she performed at this year's Super Bowl. So she has a lot of feats on her sleeve, so there's a reason why Billboard picked her as this year's icon. So, okay, now talking about some of the performances that stood out to me the most. The first being Silk Sonic with Love's Train. I actually hadn't listened to this song beforehand, because when they started performing it, I was like, wait, is this song on the album? I don't recall it. And then I realized that I hadn't listened to the song, and I loved it from there on. Went and listened to the studio version and realized that, yeah, this song in fact came out this year, and now it's stuck in my head. I have it on my playlist and such. And these guys, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, just keep impressing me more with each performance, each release. I listened to their debut album. I really enjoyed it, and their performances are always a delight because they have that retro sound vibe, the aesthetic, the looks, the dancing, everything is always on point, the vocals especially. So yeah, I really enjoyed this performance. And then we had Megan Thee Stallion with Plan B, her latest single, which I absolutely love. Ever since she performed it at Coachella, I wasn't there or anything, but when I watched that clip on Instagram, I was like, okay, this is a bop. And I was eagerly anticipating the studio version to drop, and when it did, I was like, yeah, this is a really good bop. And that song makes me feel like a bad bitch. I'm sure everyone can get that sensation when they listen to the song. And when she performed it, she really owned it, The only thing holding it back, obviously, was that she had to perform basically the clean version, which I hadn't listened to because I never listened to clean versions. But it's live TV, what can you do? And then she performed Sweet as Pie, her collab with Dua Lipa. Dua wasn't there to perform, but Megan played her part and she did it well enough. Then Ed Sheeran performed Two Step, his latest single, but he performed it from Belfast, not at the BBMAs. And this is a song that was not one of my highlights when listening to Equals for the first time, but ever since he released a remix with, I think it's with Lil Baby, I have come to like the song a bit more. And this performance was Ed by himself, and I really liked how it sounded live. So yeah, really liked this performance. And lastly, I want to talk about Becky G's performance with, it was by herself, performing Baila Con Mi Ex and Mami featuring Karol G, except Karol G wasn't there to perform. But yeah, Becky G and Karol G, in fact, are my top two Latin female artists of the moment. And I really love that Latin music just keeps getting bigger and bigger worldwide. So yeah. And The last thing I want to say about these awards, adding to everything that I just said, I do want to say that I felt a little underwhelmed with the awards because literally as soon as the final performance ended, I was like, that's it. I mean, the albums is the sorry, not the albums, the awards did last like 3 hours, and for me that's a bit long. And in this case, it felt longer for me because, as I'm saying, like I was kind of underwhelmed, sorry, and so it felt a little slower paced, like not too much excitement as I had hoped. But as I said, there were some good moments, some good performances, um, things to talk about. So it was not all bad, but it could have been better. Okay, so that was it for my recap of the 2022 BBMAs. Join me next time when I review Harry Styles' new album, Harry's House. Really looking forward to that. And before I go, make sure you follow Pop and Bop on Instagram at Pop and Bop for daily content. And this has been Pop and Bop. I'm Emilio Fernandez, and see you next time. Goodbye.